Howdy folks, how's everybody doing today? Today we're going to do something a little bit different here in the lair, Greg's lair. Well, you guys who have watched my videos, and for those who are stumbling upon this video, no, this is not about an RC car. It's not about a motorcycle. It's not about putting together a grill. Let me scoot you guys forward here a little bit. What we're going to talk about today is coffee. For those who have watched my videos, you've probably seen me and heard me say, hey, hold on a minute, I gotta check my roast. Well, I roast coffee for a living. That's what I do. And my company is GH Coffee Company. What we're going to talk about today, excuse me, stupid allergies, is roasting some coffee at home on the cheap and how you do it. And actually, it's a pretty simple process. I started doing this probably back around 2012, 2013. Got me some stuff here. I was tired of buying coffee. Just started thinking about, how to do it at home, and researched and bought me a popcorn popper. Yeah, folks, it's a popcorn popper. It's got a little handle here. You spin, which, by the way, when you're doing this, just kind of go like this. You don't have to go full speed, crazy 8-man on it. And what it's got down inside of it is a little blade, which I'm sure you can see. So as you're spinning this around, it is turning your beans. So a little brief kind of history, and I'm going to do this in a few segments, whatever. If you guys like it, this is something you want to see, curious about it. I don't know how many of my viewers out there are coffee drinkers, but I'm an avid coffee drinker. Drink, 3-4 cups every morning, have me a latte every afternoon. We did have 2 coffee shops at one time, and of course we roasted all the coffee for the coffee shops, but kind of got away from that, got rid of the coffee shops, and now we just sell 4 coffee shops. And I am not in the center of this here camera. So anyway, there are basically 2 types of coffee beans, Robusta and Arabica. And the main difference between the two is the more popular coffee beans are the Arabica beans because they're a little smoother. They have a little more sugar in them. Not that that really matters if you're like a calorie counter or anything like that. It's not those kind of sugars. Well, I guess it is, but you burn them off anyway, so it doesn't matter. Robusta, on the other hand, has less sugar in it, but it's bitter, and honestly, it kind of tastes like crap. It's good for espresso, if you want to do espresso blends and stuff like that, but honestly, any coffee can be made into espresso, because espresso is not a roast level. Espresso is just a name for coffee they use in espresso machines. Okay, it's a very fine grind. So your levels of coffee are, you've got light roast, medium roast, dark roast, French roast, and the temperatures in between those there's not a big difference, and I'll kind of go over some of this stuff here, and I'll show you some beans. Actually, I've got the Whirly Pop thing sitting on this little hot plate because that is part 2 of what you're going to need here. And it can be propane, it can be electric, but I'm trying to show you guys how you can do this on the cheap. I'm sure there's a ton of videos out there on YouTube. I've never really looked them up because I roast my own coffee, and I've been doing it, like I said, for quite a few years now, so I don't really need to look them up. But I have looked a little bit for other people, and a lot of the information out there is kind of misleading. They make it more complicated than what it really is. This is actually a pretty simple, basic concept, and as you'll see when we start doing this here, just how god-awful stupid simple it really is. And if you can make popcorn on a stove, you can make coffee on a stove. Now, there are some caveats to having a roaster. I mean, you can control your airflow, you can control your drum speed, you can control your temperatures better. There's a lot of factors when you have a roaster, but not everybody's going to want to go plunk down, 15 grand for a small 5K roaster. I'm going to set this off on here so I don't burn the joint down. I'm heating this thing up so it don't take so long to heat up when we go to do this. But Actually, no. Let me go ahead and turn it off. Distractions. But anyway, your basically your roast levels are. Let me go back just a second. For those people who like coffees like Death Wish, okay, those are largely Robusta, and the reason being is Robusta beans have more caffeine in them. So if that's your thing and you need that caffeine kick, you know, that's one way to do it. However, if you have an espresso machine, you can just run you a couple shots and that will suffice and basically do the same thing and not taste as nasty. What else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out. Everybody is under the misconception that dark roast beans have more caffeine. Not true. Dark roast beans have less caffeine because the longer you cook them, the more caffeine you cook out of them. So let's just get that on the table and get that out of the way. Now, we've got the roast levels. Light, medium roasts. Your light's going to be 415-ish to say 430-ish. You know, I can't give you a definite number on that because every bean's different and every bean cooks different. Your medium roasts are going to be in the 435-ish range to could be 440, 445. There again, depends on the beans. Then you've got your dark roasts, which are, you know, say 448 to 460, all right, ish. And then you got your French roast, okay, which is shortly after your dark roast. And a lot of this stuff is happening kind of quickly. It's not as big of a deal when you're going between a medium and a dark roast. You got a little more time, but if you like a really light roast, doing this on the popcorn popper can be a little more challenging. But there are kind of some tricks you can do. But we'll get that in a minute. Once you get past your French roast, you're looking in charcoal territory and burning your beans up, possibly even catching them on fire. So you got to be mindful of that. And especially when you take them out of your popcorn popper, if you've done it in a really dark, mistaken roast, leave it inside your popcorn popper and leave your lid on and let it cool down a little bit first, because if you open that lid and pour it into a strainer, they can likely catch fire. So just be mindful of that. You don't want to burn your house down, burn yourself up. You know, it's one thing to piss away, 8 ounces of beans. No big deal. Start over, do it again. So, but anyway, back to the roasting. If you're trying to achieve a light roast with said popcorn popper, you're likely going to want to take it off. You're going to need a thermo gun. I'll kind of piece this together here in a sec for you guys. You're going to want to take it off maybe about 10 degrees before you hit your limit, because it's still going to be cooking inside that pan. And even when you dump it into a colander or a strainer, it's still going to be extremely hot, and that cooking process is going to continue. Whereas when you have a roaster, then you're dumping it into a cooling tray, which is sucking air through it. You may have some sort of water injection. Who knows? But a roasting machine allows you to control all of this stuff a lot better. But that's not to say that you have to have a roasting machine. You don't. And we're gonna do this. Okay. This is actually kind of fun. This is how I started out. Now I will forewarn you, if you decide to do this in your kitchen, and that's fine, you can do it on your stove, that works great. Just make sure you open up some windows, put a fan blowing out in 1 or 2 windows. Light roasts do not generate a terrible amount of smoke. They do. Turn on your exhaust fan too. But when you start getting into the mediums and the dark roasts, you definitely, and depending on the size of your batch, it can generate a lot of smoke, and you will smoke up your kitchen, your dining room, living room, your whole house. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's see here. What do we want to go over? We want to go over what do you need, okay? Well, like I said, Whirly Pop popcorn popper. You can get these on Amazon. They're about 40 bucks. 35 for the stainless ones. All right, you're going to need a strainer, which you probably already got in the kitchen anyway. You're going to need a colander, because you're going to set your strainer down in the colander. Most people have these anyway, cooking pasta. All right, you are going to need maybe 2 other pieces of equipment. Let me see if I can lift this thing up if it ain't too freaking hot, because I did have it on. you're gonna need a heat plate. Okay, nothing special. As you can see, this thing looks pretty crappy. Go to Walmart, get you one. They're probably, I don't know, maybe 12 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. You're going to need a thermometer, doohickey. You know, just don't shine it in your eyes, you know, lasers. You're going to need that. Get it Harbor Freight. I think these things are maybe 10, 15 bucks. All right, now, obviously you're going to need something to put your beans in, which could be anything. Could be a bowl, doesn't matter. Measuring cup. I highly recommend a squirt bottle, clean, fresh water in it. And we're going to talk about why you need that, which is really no big top secret thing. Now, okay, so back to our roast. You got light, 415 to 430. Medium, 430-ish to 450. Then you got your darks, 450 plus. Then you got your French, anything after your dark roast. All right, now what we're going to do here is, what are we going to do here first? We kind of got our little thing laid out here. I got you on my tripod here, and you can see exactly how I'm setting this out. The plastic tubs are for when we are done and we have our coffee cooled, and we can put it in the little trays here. I don't know if I'm going to bother to go through all of doing these, because each one's going to probably take about 25 minutes, give or take, and this could turn out to be a really long video. But anyway, let me move my chair out of the way. I will touch on just the coffee beans briefly, because I plan on maybe doing another video on that. But let's just get this out of the way. It ain't rocket science, okay? What we got here on the left, where my finger is, those are Peru. The middle is India monsoon to Malabar. The ones on the right are Sumatra. What you're looking at right here, this is cascara, okay? This is what the coffee cherry is, okay? The beans are inside of it, no different than a cherry tree. All right. Then you get the method in which they are processed. All three of these are washed, okay? Meaning, when they harvest them, they depulp them, they take it out of this, okay? They'll take the mucilage surrounding the bean, they'll take that off. They wash these things, they put them on a patio to dry, okay? That is the most common processing method, okay? Then you have natural, then you have some of what they call the honey processes, which could be red honey, yellow honey, black honey, and all those are, and there's really, as far as I know, there's no standard on them yet. In the honey processes, it's how much mucilage they're leaving on the beans when they dry them. And the natural process is the same thing. So when, say you have a Ethiopian Yurga Hefi, or Shefi, however you want to pronounce it, that's a natural process. Most of them are natural process, and that's what kind of made them unique, in that they left a lot of the mucilage on there when they dry them, so the beans actually absorb a lot of the flavor from the mucilage, and they have a very fruity smell. And I ain't kidding you. You stick your face in a bag of these, and it smells like wheat. You know, you stick your face in a bag of Ethiopian or any other natural processed coffee, and it smells very fruity. And then when you actually roast them, it still smells fruity, and when you drink it, it has a very fruity flavor. So if you like fruitiness in your coffee, definitely get a natural processed coffee. So we're going to put our little whirly pop on here. I do have the GoPro set up on the top, and we're going to try to catch some of this. Now, this is definitely going to take longer because I'm going to keep the lid open so you guys can kind of see what's going on down inside there. And I have a light set up, so hopefully it'll put a little light, shed a little light on the subject. And let's see here. Make sure the GoPro is recording and it is facing down. And I have no idea what my battery's at, but we'll find out. Worst case, I'll pause it, we'll stop it. Hopefully it'll make it through a batch. But we're going to roast some coffee, guys. And back you up here so you can kind of see what I'm doing and catch when I do take these off here. what I have laid out here is I've got these little bins here. I've got 8 ounces in each, and nothing special here. These are just Peru. So we're going to put it down in our hopper. And like I said, I've got this on high. Hopefully it'll speed this process up a little bit. And that light is blinding the crap out of me that I've got hanging over the pot here. And what I'll try to do, and I'm not great on this yet, is take the GoPro video and put it in the corner of this video so you guys kind of see, you know, as I'm talking, what the GoPro is seeing. Hopefully it's catching these beans down in here. I'm not spinning it right now. I'm letting this thing heat up. Like I said, it's going to take 25 minutes. Now, once we get to about 380-ish degrees, this is going to start popping, kind of just like popcorn. All right. So that is the first stage of the coffee when you're starting to burn off the sugars. It's the Maillard reaction. So once you get past that and you start getting into your mediums, you'll get what is called second crack. Okay. Then it kind of sounds like Rice Krispies. I ain't kidding you. It sounds just like Rice Krispies. So, and then, you know, once you get past the second crack, there's no more, and now it's just continuously burning off your sugars, and you get your darker roasts. So, we'll give this a little spin here just to get our beans going around. And, you know, this is, like I've said, it's not rocket science. It's not that complicated. If you guys want to do this at home, it is super simple to do. And if you like fresh coffee, by all means, do this. You know, I mean, it's, you know, a great way to save some money. Everything's expensive these days. You go to the store, buy a 12-ounce bag of coffee. I mean, you're looking at damn near 20 bucks. Our company, we do have a web presence. It's ghcoffeeco.com. We only sell in pounds, so, and we only charge whatever the UPS, whatever, you know, postal service charges us for shipping. So, you know, by all means, I'll put a link in the description for that. I'll put a link in the description for this Whirly Pop thing. And I currently do not sell green beans because I'm just a roaster. But, you know, if you guys have an interest and would like to, you know, get some green beans from me, just reach out to me, and, you know, we can work out something. So, or I can put, you know, change our website, put a link on there for green beans, and, you know, you can have at it. You know, our temperature down here right now is sitting at, these beans are reading about 180 degrees. So we're just going to give it a little turn here every once in a while until it starts getting a little bit warmer. You know, let this heat saturate through the beans. And like I said, I've got the lid open. So hopefully the GoPro, I can't see my facing down screen. Yeah, it's looking down in there. Hopefully it's seeing it. We'll catch kind of all this whole process, and I should have you aimed up enough to where you can see. Actually, I probably ought to switch you around to the other side, so when I do go to take these beans off of here, you'll see me better over here. Sorry for wiggling you around, guys. So anyway, back to why I've never done a video. I don't know. I mean, it's just what I do. And, you know, I still find it fun. I still find it interesting. And, of course, I love coffee. So I've got, you name it. I can have different coffees every day. You know, our espresso blend is a blend of 4 different coffees. Well, 4 different regions. So, you know, it's good stuff, and doing this led to, you know, when I originally got the popcorn popper, excuse me, I was having a good time with it, but oh my God, I was smoking up the house so terribly bad. So I decided, what the heck, I'm going to buy me a roaster. So I bought a roaster, and I have been using the same roaster since, and it is a Mill City roaster. They were kind of a new startup at the time. And this thing was made in China and watched it track and ship on a boat, really a slow boat from China. got this thing, had no clue how to operate it, no clue how to roast coffee in this thing. Never caught anything on fire, you know, which is good, but I had a good time with it. And then one thing led to another, and my other business that I had at the time was located in a building that would have made a great coffee shop. So one thing led to another, and we opened up a coffee shop. So that's that. So Mill City is still in production today. They've got some really nice, fancy schmancy roasters. Good friend of mine, Justin, he has got one of their latest ones, and oh, it's got all the bells and whistles, man. Compared to mine, mine is really super old school, which is fine with me. Everything is logged. Every single roast I do is logged, which I'll discuss later on pen and paper and notebooks, and it works perfectly fine for me. You're going to read, if you watch other YouTube videos on this, people going through this roasting process and changing, and I'll probably be kind of redundant with this because I'll go over it in another video when I actually show the roaster and do all that, but people can really way overcomplicate this. And am I a coffee snob? Sure, I'm a coffee snob. You know, once you get to roasting your own coffee, well, a lot of other stuff just really doesn't taste that good. And I'm not dogging Starbucks. I think Starbucks has some fine coffee. And as a matter of fact, I'm very grateful to Starbucks because they are the marketing arm for all of us, at the time, small coffee shop people. So, all right, so you'll be seeing on this other video up there, we're starting to get a little bit of smokage. And we're at about 280 degrees in there. So I'm just going to kind of keep slowly spinning it now. And like I said, you don't have to do this you don't have to do it fast, just in a nice slow motion. You're just turning your beans over. I think, yeah, you can see me doing the whirligig. Whirly pop, whirly, yeah, whirly pop. All right, so we're getting a little bit of smokage, and we're at 293 degrees. I did not set my stopwatch down. Crap, you know. Oh well, maybe we'll time a medium roast. I'm going to try and shoot for a light roast. So once we start cracking, and I get right around maybe 415, we'll pull it off. And the worst that'll happen on your light roast is if you don't cook it enough, oh, you're going to have one nasty, and I mean extremely nasty cup of coffee. It's going to taste like drinking a glass of grain. All right, so we're at 293. Well, I guess you can look at the time index on the video from when I put this on there, and like I said, it's probably 25 minutes or so. And like I did say, some of the coffees cook faster and slower than others. I'll give you an example. Say I'm doing a El Salvador, and I normally at a medium roast, you know, the color and everything that I'm looking for, I'll drop it at, say, around 440. Well, that same Costa Rica bean, I may drop it at 435, 434, you know. Just beans are different. It could be humidity content, who knows. 316. We got a bit to go still before we start cracking. Well, I'll tell you what though, a lot easier to do coffee than it is to make beer. I've done both. I need to get back into making beer because beer has got awful through the roof expensive too now. But they're both fun, and you can make your own blends up from different regions. You can mix a light roast and a medium roast, or a medium and a dark. So, you know, you can get pretty creative with it. And, you know, and if Folgers or, you know, Maxwell House, one of them coffees is your thing, hey man, more power to you. There ain't nothing wrong with those. They're kind of typically lesser grade, yeah, Colombian beans. And, you know, they may have fillers in them. You know, they could be putting chicory or who knows what in them. That's how they're able to sell it so cheap. But I mean, I've had some good 8 o'clock coffee back in the day. Really good. Buy a whole bean, grind it yourself. Oh, and that's another thing. I would highly suggest you get a coffee grinder, a burr grinder, not a blade grinder. Those are on Amazon too. They're fairly inexpensive. Whole bean stays fresher longer. So we're at about 326. So we got about another, I don't know, say 60 degrees before we start popping. Should be able to see down there pretty good. The beans are starting to change color a bit. They're yellowing up. They were green. And yep, doing it in the garage. Because everything's done in the garage. Alright, yeah, let's see here. A couple other misconceptions. Do not store your coffee beans in your refrigerator. Do not store them in the freezer. Just keep them in a bag, container, preferably a valve container. So any degassing, because these will degas, especially after you just roast them. And if you have a one-way valve in there, it lets the gases out, but it doesn't let oxygen back in, which is what makes your coffee go stale so quick. So we're at 330, yeah, about 330, give or take. And then once you roast your coffee, it's best to let it sit for at least a day. And that'll be a good experiment for you guys. Roast you up some coffee, let it sit for a day, or actually try that next morning. Okay, or that evening, and then just kind of get out a piece of paper and write down what you taste, because over the next 2 weeks that coffee is going to change flavor. Not in a bad way. I mean, it changes in a good way. So it's best, you know, when you do your coffee, let it sit for at least a day. So we're at 335 still. My thing is still on here. I can't tell. Yep, it looks like it's on. Let's see here on the clock here. We're at 29 minutes total video time. And we're at 340 degrees temperature wise. Getting a little more browning in there. Now, if you've got somebody hanging out with you, have them do the heat gun. That way you're not having to stop, especially once you get actually closer to the point. We're at 350. You're closer to the point of dropping it, and especially if you're trying to target specifically like a light roast or whatever. If you're trying to hit a certain temperature, or color, then have them kind of read your temperatures on you, and take your notepad, write down when you started, what you had the settings for your little burner on, and when you dropped it, what the temperature was. That way you can kind of track your roast, and that way when you find the perfect one that you like, you know exactly what you did. We're still browning up in there. As you can see, you can probably see in the camcorder the smoke coming off this thing. I'll stop, once we get to cracking here, I'll stop it briefly so you can hear the cracking that I'm talking about. So we're at about 364. Yeah, we're getting some good smokage right up my nose. And yeah, folks, this is the original Whirly Pop, where it all began. Now, when we go to drop these, I'm going to show you how to spritz it, okay? And the kind of rule of thumb is for your water, if you're that concerned, is about 1 ounce per pound if you're going to do water cooling, which you can do, you don't have to do, that's entirely up to you, but it will cool your beans down faster. So we're at 368. Or if you have a small fan, you can set it up on something and aim cool air blowing down on your beans as you toss them. Anything to stop the cooking process and to keep them getting to a higher roast than what you're trying to reach. Still got no poppage yet, but we're getting brown. We are at 380 there, 370 there. It bounces around. And you will notice when we dump these into this tray here, it's going to have chaff, which is the outer skin, being cooked off. It's no big deal. It has no taste. It has no value whatsoever. I just throw it in the yard and run it over with a lawnmower. But it ain't going to bother your grinder or your coffee equipment or anything like that. So you'll be able to shake a lot of it off or sift it out. All right, so that's about 380. So we're getting there. Well, hopefully I'll be able to time this right. It's been a coon's age since I've roasted coffee this way. But if we can time it right, you'll be able to kind of see the difference in the color of the beans between a light and a medium and a dark. We should be popping here soon. We're at 383. And This definitely would go faster with your lid down. Which is probably going to screw up our times a little bit. Yeah, we're still about 370, 380, depending on where you're hitting inside there. Check our temperature. Well, that says 400 there, but about 400 back there, so we should be popping any moment. No popping yet. Ah, there we go. Heard a pop. We're at about 398 still. .404. I'm starting to hear some light popping. I don't know if you can hear that in the camcorder or on the GoPro. I'll probably want to have the audio on the GoPro. So we're about 410 there. So we're at 390 over there. So you gotta wait for all these beans to get up to temperature. No, we're still not quite there yet. 400, 407, 393. Okay, yeah, 404, 395. And we are at 41 minutes total video time. So, like I said, when you do this, if and when you do this, and you have your lid closed, the process will be quicker because we're losing a lot of our heat. When I do the medium roast, I'll probably stop the camcorder and the GoPro and then do this with the lid shut until I get past first crack, and then I'll fire them both back up so you can see. Otherwise, it's just going to be an extremely long video. We're out here. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Should be popping. Unless I'm just not hearing it, because we're getting a good brown color in there. Which, based on the color, these can be dropped now. That's my temp gun. See, that's reading about 420. So I think we're going to go ahead and drop this down and see what she looks like. Try to look down in there. Yeah, these look done enough to me. Alright, so here, let's go. Okay, you see that chaff coming out of there? Okay, now here's where the water bottle comes into play. As you're shaking your coffee, spray it. And try not to drop too many beans on the floor. I probably ought to shake with my right hand, since I'm right-handed. And as you can see in the video, the chaff is everywhere. Well, guess what? GoPro overheated. And it's sitting in my garage with a fan over top of it. Go figure. Okay, bean temp right now is, that's down to 150. So it's dropped pretty good. And no, the water's not going to affect the flavor at all. There you go, guys. I will zoom you in and you can see what they look like. This is actually a little darker than I would have cared for a light roast. But like I said, when you're doing this with the popcorn popper, it's kind of tricky. I'll set you back over here. It's kind of tricky to get the light roast in just right, and especially, like, you probably didn't hear it, and I wasn't hearing it much either. The lack of your first crack. So, oh, got you down too far. When you don't have that, you know, that's your indicator that your coffee's done, getting done. So, okay guys, we're going to shoot for the light roast again. We're going to make that first one we did a medium roast. Let me turn my screen around here. See what I'm doing. We are at 370, 360. Now, I think part of the problem is having this lid open. So I'm hearing some popping. We're at about 380, 370. Like I said, the light roasts are the trickiest. Medium to dark, pretty easy to do. And the GoPro overheated. So I got the ceiling fan on above me. That's about 370 still. Glance down there and see what's going on. Keep our lid shut to keep our heat in. I've been clocking this when we're at about 16 minutes since I turned the heat on the burner. That's about 370, 372. We'll check the temperature again at 18 minutes. We're at 1725. Now, 10 seconds still. Okay, there's 18. We're at 389. Trying to catch the popping for you. We'll check it again at 20 minutes. We're at almost 18 and a half. About 5 seconds. 3. Okay, we're at 20 minutes there. And temperature is 388. Now, with it not popping, I may have been hearing popping here and there, but when we actually do it in the roaster, you'll hear it then, despite all the other noise. See, that's getting pretty close to light roast. I hear it popping. I don't know if you guys can hear it though. We may be popped out. We're up there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one. See our lovely, lovely go ahead and cool our beans down. Get our chaff nice and wet. And just keep doing this and moving your beans around so they cool off quicker. I mean, just spritzing them, we were down to 160. We were at about 4, I don't know, maybe 410 or so. I'm going to turn this thing back on high. Get that pan heating up good. We'll go shoot for a dark roast. While that's cooling there a little bit, we'll go ahead and dump some beans down in here. Start getting them heated up. Yeah, what